On June 24, 1891, news was received that the USS Pensacola had been attacked in Arica, Chile. The initial report stated that 5 American seamen from the Pensacola had been killed when their launch was mistaken for an insurgent vessel. The mistaken craft was fired upon by a torpedo from the Chilean cruiser Condell. The 5 seamen were identified as Seaman O. Smith from New York, William Hayes from Brooklyn, Frank Peckham from Newark, New Jersey, Teddy O'Rourke from Huntington, Long Island, and Arthur E. Dykeman from Pissell, Long Island. Those on deck of the Pensacola suddenly saw the small launch lifted completely out of the water and disappear in a spray of debris. Searchlights from the Pensacola were cut on, but nothing but floating wreckage could be seen. But what they could see was the Condell close by in the foggy waters. Signals were exchanged between the Pensacola and the Condell, who admitted to the error. The Condell commander even responded by dipping their colors as a symbol of their apology for the tragic mistake. The launch in question made regular trips each day from the Pensacola to the town of Arica. However, at 7 p.m. it was very foggy, which reduced visibility to a minimum of less than 100 yards. But who exactly were the insurgents that caused this tragic mistake, thus killing 5 innocent American seamen? It had all begun with the Chilean President José Manuel Balmaceda, who had set about spending a large proportion of his taxes on keeping his army and political friends very happy and loyal. In his self-proclaimed state of security, he felt he was invulnerable from any rebellious forces from within. He even went so far as to circumvent his Congress, which proved to be his undoing. So, this political trouble found him in early 1891 when the Congressionalists presented their demands to the Chilean Navy for help. Their demands were to uphold the elected representatives and depose Balmaceda. The Navy agreed, but this left the Navy without an army and the Army without a Navy. The Congressional Navy was now comprised of the casemate vessel Cochrane, the monitor Huascar, the cruiser Esmeralda, 4 corvettes and gunboats, and the Blanco Encalada that would form the rebel fleet. Opposing them were only 2 torpedo gunboats, the Almirante Condell and the Almirante Lynch. By July of 1891, the Congressionalists' forces were well trained for an overthrow. This was now the stage that was set for the conflict between the Condell and the USS Pensacola in Arica Bay. The Congressionalists were considered the insurgents by the forces under the Balmaceda government when they apparently fired on the American launch. However, the details of the death of the American sailors began to unravel quickly upon review. The journalists of 1891 were no different than those of today, who feel like a great headline is worth more than a mediocre story. The real story that emerged was from the U.S. Consul A. J. Doughty in Callao, Peru. He stated that on July 1, 1891, there was a naval battle between Balmaceda's forces and the so-called insurgents in Iquique harbor. In the excitement, one of Balmaceda's sailors accidentally set off a torpedo that blew up his boat and all that were in it. The USS Pensacola was not involved other than as an observer in the harbor.